sauce.
Hey, you like Pez?
It looks like that. Here's Heaney from the boundary line. He's an expert at these. From the boundary line!
Hello and welcome to Behind the Boundary podcast. I'm your host Pez. I'm here with Sauce, and it has been a 2-week hiatus, I guess, due to unforeseen circumstances, but we are back.
We are back, Pez. Definitely missed you, and it was really weird doing my footy tips last week, not having talked to the footy religiously like we normally do. We did it via text message. Wasn't the same. Wasn't the same at all.
Wasn't the same because there was a couple of messages back and forth. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah.
And then we're like, because we hadn't spoken about it on the pod, so it's kind of like, I usually need to know what Sauce thinks so I can just go the opposite. But
yeah, well, I did notice my bet slip was a little bit more successful this week after not hearing your rubbish, so that might be the new trend, I think.
Maybe just mute your headphones when I speak about my bet slip tonight.
I do normally anyway.
See how you go. Oh, you do normally. That's maybe why you've had a poorer year than myself. But 2 weeks of footy, Sauce, and the ladder. Not surprising that the Demons are on top, but they did drop the 3 games there during those bye periods, but they are on top clear. And then you've got 5 teams that are on 10 wins, which is Geelong, Brisbane, Fremantle, Carlton. You've got a couple of teams there on 9 wins, Sydney and Collingwood. And you've got the Bulldogs, Richmond, St Kilda, who are all on 8 wins and probably goes down to 12th with Gold Coast and Port Adelaide as well on 7 wins. And then anyone below that, you're playing for draft picks.
Yeah, it's probably one of the closest, and I guess we say this every sort of year, it's one of the closest sort of final eights or the top eights that we've had in a little while. Think about this, Pez. Collingwood dropped that 80-point loss to West Coast earlier in the year, and they're sitting second at the moment, and that just shows you how close it is. Geelong lose two in a row. Let's say they lose to North, which isn't going to happen in Melbourne. They drop out of the 8, like just from second to 8, boom, straight out. Like it's a very, very close year, and I think you're right, Pez. I think right up until 12th, Port Adelaide are still alive. If GWS get a couple of things together, they could be still in the hunt and someone else slips. But realistically, it's a very close and very surprising, I think, top 4 to definitely, Geelong and Fremantle, those 2 teams in there that I probably didn't see in there.
Mate, GWS, you're still in love with them from 2019, mate.
Still in love with them.
They're on 4 wins. It's round 16.
Yeah, but they've looked good the last couple of weeks.
They're not.
Here they come. Here they come. I've got the orange paint ready to go, Pez.
They are. But the in the 8, Collingwood, 9 wins, percentage of 106. So it is quite low compared to the teams around them. Everyone's got
everyone else beat West Coast.
Very healthy percentage. They did lose to West Coast earlier in the year, so it's cost them a little bit, and depends on the win-loss record. Could cost them come finals time.
But I guess you got Geelong, Brisbane, Fremantle, Carlton, all on equal 40 points with, their percentages 125, 124, 122, and then 114. Like, it's a very, very close indicator. And the percentage is normally a very good indicator of, how close the games are. And normally there's a team that's somewhere in the top 8 that has flogged a lot of sides. They're sitting at the 150 mark, 140, but they're showing that most of their wins are about by 20, 24, 20, 25 points. So it's very, very close, Pez.
Yeah, extremely close. Probably we should address why we didn't do a show last week. It was announced on Twitter at Behind the Bound, but struck down with the flu. I was struck down with the man flu. And
COVID.
Yeah, COVID. Couldn't do anything.
Call it what it is, Pez. There's no such thing as a man flu in this COVID pandemic world.
No, so off work for the 7 days or whatever it was, and the little one getting sick as well, which wasn't ideal. So the whole week of that and dealing with that kind of made us not do a pod even remotely. I actually had the gear at my house, so
it was a little bit tough because, as we all know, Pez is not a technical head, and he doesn't have any idea how to work the hardware that we've got here, and even the media manager couldn't help him out, Pez.
No, they weren't able to come around as well because of the whole COVID thing, so they weren't able to do anything there. But we are back in business and ready to go for tonight. My favourite game of the week, which we should talk about, was Geelong versus Richmond. And the big thing from that, apart from the 3-point win in the end source, was Tom Stewart on Dion Prestia and the big incident.
Yeah, huge incident. And I don't really want to talk, not because I'm a Geelong supporter, I don't really want to talk a lot about the incident itself in terms of the tribunal aspects, Pez. But it's brought up another big debate. It's brought up the big debate about this, whether or not AFL should adapt the sin bin rule like they have in hockey, or the send-off rule that they have in the NRL. And a lot of other sports have that sort of red card penalty
NBA,
where they're off for the match.
Yeah, NBA tech foul. You got 2 and you're out. Lots of different things. You got the send-off rule in the MLB, which I've gotten into over the last month. I've been loving watching the MLB now that NBA's over and AFL's only on the weekend.
Your week of COVID was really good for you, wasn't it? Because you got to watch so much baseball.
Oh, it was. They play like multiple games in a day. It's absolutely
Yeah,
unbelievable.
like 2 or 3. They have like a double header, and they play the same team. They go back in their room, have a slice of oranges, and then
I watched Minnesota play Cleveland this morning at 3 a.m. and then they were playing again at
9.
At 9.
Yeah.
So very, very good. But in terms of this situation, the send-off rule, the only reason it came up is because Tom Stewart, a superstar really, when you talk about defenders and intercept defenders, he actually pretty much won them the game there in that fourth quarter with a couple of really big plays, and he's a very important player to the Geelong structure. In a 3-point game where Richmond were also a man down and Geelong went down and kicked a goal when the trainers didn't call for the stretcher, which I don't know why.
They didn't call for the stretcher though, because if he goes off on the stretcher, he's not allowed to come back full stop. So
anyone can see straight away.
They were trying to get him up, and so that if he did pass the concussion test, but that just shows you where the foresight is.
Look at the screen. He's knocked out before he hit the ground.
And apparently, not apparently, I was at the game. There were a lot of Richmond players around shouting out like, "Well, why is this still going ahead? He's clearly out."
Yeah.
There's 4 or 5 people around them, trainers. Like, just stop the game, call the stretcher out, put his health first.
I know the umpires made the right decision based by the rules, but it wasn't the right decision based on the player welfare. So if they're not going to call the stretcher, the trainers, how about the umpire just goes, you know what, just stop the play. Yep, Geelong, you've got the ball here. That's fine. Let's just get this bloke off the ground, because if something happens, the ball goes there for some other reason, he gets another knock. It can be very, very dangerous, and we want to protect the head. But
we do definitely want to protect the head. But back to the core root of the discussion this week. As you said, Prestia goes off with a concussion early in the game. Tom Stewart goes on to have 29 disposals, 6 marks inside 50, 2 or 3 clearances, set up a couple of goal assists. Was absolutely dominant across there, and he is one of their best players, and he is definitely going to be missed in the next 4 weeks. But what it does is it puts Prestia off the ground, one of their strong midfielders in a midfield that isn't a strong midfield without Prestia. I mean, they spent a lot of time without him because of his injuries anyway, but not like this. So I guess, Pez, what are your thoughts on this? The send off rule. Are you a traditionalist where you don't want to play and it's just the luck of the draw, or would you like to see something happen, whether it be a sin bin, a red card system? I'll throw it over to you.
It's super hard, and I'm super torn on this, because if we bring in some form of rule, you know what's going to happen. Someone is going to get it wrong.
Yep.
In a big game, someone will get it wrong, go, yep, you're a red card, you're off. And then it's going to come out later on, that they've actually stuffed up and they made the wrong call, and then that player didn't play and their team lost the grand final by under a goal. And it's because of that reason. I think it's pretty clear that Tom Stewart went past the ball. He chose to hip and shoulder, he hit him in the head. Does he get sent off? It's not actually a rule. But Richmond fans are up.
He wasn't even in that game there. He wasn't even penalised for a free kick. There wasn't even a free kick paid. It was just a late hit,
which is wrong call.
Which is wrong, definitely.
Yeah.
So, like, in this situation, he wouldn't be sent off. But in the situation where someone has been removed through an act, and I don't know whether I play how could you? He's hit the bloke late and high, but the fact we still have to go to the tribunal and we're talking about it after the tribunal and we're a little bit uncertain about the details of it, how's the umpire meant to make that decision on the day whether he gets sent off now?
Where's the place where the NBA referee sits? Secaucus. See, let's put a team in Secaucus, not in where the AFL had.
Not on top of the Telstra Dome, like the current. I think that's the only angle they've got for the goal reviews. The top of the Telstra Dome.
Oh my God, those angles! But get a team together, and umpires don't report people on the ground, and you can do it during the game.
So you want sort of like the EPL system where they've got the what do they call it? The little mic in the ear, and after the penalty or whatever, they review the offside 3 or 4 things. And the little buzzer goes off in the ear. And he's like, "Oh, hang on, guys, we're going to come back 7 plays ago, and it's going to be a free kick."
You've stuffed that up. Like, the other thing with the umpire, when you call for a score review, why does it take you 45 seconds to call for a score review? And the guy's sitting up there waiting to look at film. He should already be looking at film when the goal's kicked. Like, those sort of things are just ludicrous in a multi-million-dollar game that needs to be fixed. So I think if you bring in a red card system, a send-off rule,
so do you want the red card system? But I guess if you look at other sports around the world, Pez, you go back the 2019 finals in the NBA, the Draymond Green incident of kicking the nut shot. He doesn't get picked up during the game, doesn't get sent off. They go on to win that game. If they have a review system, let's say he gets taken off that game, so he goes off, he gets disqualified for the game, whether it be right or wrong. They have it in basketball already. Like they have it in rugby all the time, whether they review the they stop the game, they review the play, and then they send them off. Is that what you want to slow down the game and to make sure they get it right, or do you want that at all?
I don't think I want them to stop and send it off, but I do want the tribunal not to have to wait till Tuesday night. Just come together, know what your decision is before the end of the game, and then we've got all these different things. You can get on the thing. Hey, what do you want to plead? You've got 24 hours. So you play on the Friday night. You got 24 hours to plead. We're going to offer you 4 weeks. And then he's accepted it. It's in the news. It's done. You don't have to have the media talking about it for 3 days leading up to it.
I think in terms of I like that thing. I think that something the tribunal we've spoken about this many times, how they continually get it wrong for a start, and it shouldn't wait that long. In terms of the send off rule, Pairs, I'd like to see some sort of card system or sin bin rule for intentional acts, though, and I think that's in this situation here, and that's again, it's going to create some grey, in an already very sketchy grey scale sort of game rules. But I think in that one there, it's still deemed as a football act because we're still able to you're electing to bump, so it's still a football act, whether it was late or not. Whether it's a football act or not. But if you're looking at Barry Hall turning around and slogging someone, or you're looking at
see, he can get sent off.
He should
I'm
get sent
happy
off.
with that.
If you look at the 2000 and what was the grand final where the Brisbane Lions and
Alistair Lynch,
Lynch went
2004.
nuts. Yeah, so that one there, yeah, probably send him off because he's just going around throwing haymakers.
The bloke that tried to take out Dermy.
But then you're
in the
looking,
1989
but then you're
grand
looking
final.
at again, you're looking at another grey area. Is like, okay, well, Prestia, he maybe gets carded in the situation what they want. They say, right, Stewart should have gone off of that. So does he get carded straight away, or do they wait till he's done from concussion? So like, what happens if it's a dirty play? He goes off against checks and he comes back in. Is he allowed to play then? Like, there's so many grey areas. I think for intentional acts, maybe we can consider it. I mean, I don't think we need to. I don't think this happens that often. The impact of the game, and it was so early in the game too, Pez, and Geelong were already very dominant. Prestia hadn't made an impact then. It's a lot of grey. I'd like to see it for intentional acts, maybe.
At the moment, we thought in 2019 in the grand final that Shane Mumford was going to come around and swing,
Well, that's what he should have.
for
That's what he
bodies
should have.
and do things because
Still waiting for him to come.
The rules state that you just get double points or whatever in
so
the
what?
tribunal. So if you're going to retire anyway, or you're a player that's a lesser player, and that's your job and that's your role, it's not in the game these days.
Yeah.
But within the rules, it could happen. They get suspended for, say, 16 weeks, but their career's over anyway. They take out the best player of the other team and they win the grand final. Like, who really cares? You'd be seen upon as a dirty player for the rest of your life.
So do you want it or not? Do you want it or not? I think we're both sort of torn on it.
I don't want it because I don't think the AFL have the ability to make clear rules at the moment. There's so many grey areas within the thing. If they bring it in, they're just going to get it wrong. It's going to create more controversy at the moment.
Yeah, it's very interesting that we're so hesitant to look at it, even put an opinion there because we're doubtful that the AFL will be able to execute it. Considering that the AFL has changed the rule this week, the mockery of the exploiting the man on the mark thing, something that we've debated many times, and they've made a change this week. I mean, what are we? 8 rounds to go? Just change the rules.
Change the rules, but this is stupid. So for those who haven't heard, it's the 50-meter rule for the player with the ball in the protected zone. So when a player that's on offense, I guess, comes into the thing with a defender, and then they veer off to one side, and their opponents sit in there, they're split. They pay the 50 because they're in the protected zone. So the AFL have come out and said, hey, look how good we are. We're actually going to adapt on the run, and we're going to say that's not a 50-meter penalty anymore. So I saw that on Twitter and said, it shouldn't have ever been a 50-meter penalty in the first bloody place.
Well, what about some of those games that were, changed because of those rules? I mean, there was a game earlier. I'm sure there was a game earlier in the year, like round 1 or 2, where they had a 50-meter penalty which put a shot for goal because of that. I wish I'd done my research with this one. I apologise for that, but I'm 90% sure about it because we were talking about it. It shouldn't be a rule. So, like, does that mean that goal doesn't count now, or you can't just change rules mid-season?
You can change rules if it's something stupid like that.
But you shouldn't be able to, Pez.
You know what they should? They shouldn't have ever brought the rule in the first place.
I agree.
But if the player doesn't affect the play and they're in the protected zone, even if they're not with an opponent, there shouldn't be a 50-meter penalty anyway. It's too big a penalty for such a
as I said, they should just make it if the offending team goes in there and if the offending team goes in there, them trying to draw the thing, they should just call play on. You've impeded the protected zone. It's protected. Just call play on, and that way we can. I tell you what, they'll stop doing it because you're bringing your defender straight to your teammate. But it's dumb. But the AFL shouldn't be able to do this. They shouldn't be able to mid-season change a rule. And I know this one here they got it wrong, Pez. But imagine if they've decided out of nowhere they're like, you know what,
Change the stand on the mark rule. I'm happy.
yeah. But imagine if they change something else like the holding the ball rule, which they don't blow anyway. Imagine they said, you know what, we've decided that the
They
holding
change it nearly every week.
yeah, I know. Like they officially went, we're not going to do it anymore. You can't just change rules midway because some bigwig doesn't agree with it.
You know what the AFL are really good at doing? Changing rules on the fly and not telling the public. And then you're watching the round and you're like, oh, by Saturday, the second game on Saturday, you're like, oh, so that's how it's going to be called this week.
Oh, it's every time at the football you hear someone saying, you know, oh, come on, umpire, you know, I still hear the 360 rule yelled out at the footy.
You know you're allowed to be tackled 720 and more now.
720.
They took away the 360 rule
I know,
a couple of years
but
ago.
like you still hear people going out there, which is wrong considering the game's there for 150 years. We've still got confusion about the rules.
You hear commentators say it all the time.
I know. There's so much confusion around it.
Oh, it absolutely sucks. And I did want to point this out. Speaking of commentary, on the Saturday night,
Here we go.
I had to actually leave, so I couldn't watch the end of the Geelong-Richmond game. I tuned in, and I tuned in on Triple M. It was a close game. I didn't want to change. And Lee Montagna was calling, and I don't know who his team was, but Triple M...
He used to play for St Kilda, just give you the heads up.
Yeah, I know that. I don't know who the team he was calling with. But it was the worst radio call I have ever heard. I think it would have been a bad call for TV Source. I had no idea what was going on in the whole thing. When Tom Stewart took the intercept mark when I had to rewatch the fourth quarter.
Oh, they were just going nuts, were they?
Yeah, I thought Richmond had a shot for goal to win the game.
What about Jack Henry? How did they Jack Henry's mark after with not long to go? They were just winning yelling.
They just yell. They don't tell you what's happening and don't paint a picture. So that was really poor by there, and I just wanted to mention that. And I'm always potting people, Source, because they just don't seem to get it right.
You're just an angry person there, Pez. But speaking of getting it wrong, Pez, Essendon. I mean, we gave them some credit after a feisty win the week before, but geez, did they disappoint Friday night. And then they cost us a little bit in terms of our bet slip, Pez, and it cost us in our winners comp as well. But they were super disappointing after the performance the week before. And I know they've been deforming later.
Hey? I didn't give them any credit for the week before. We didn't do a pod last week.
Oh, well,
I don't give the Bombers any bloody credit because they are shithouse.
That was disgusting, Pez. I was at a pub watching it, and just the fight that they just don't show ever is really, really disturbing.
They have the ball. They've got 2 meter Peter up there who, cost them, and they should have had a 7-goal lead or whatever. But they're up by 4 goals early in the game. They're playing against the West Coast Eagles, who look disinterested. But then when they let West Coast be so efficient going inside 450
efficient,
and there was no defence to put up, it's just like West Coast go, oh, you know what? The crowd's roaring. I'm actually going to put in some effort and run and try and get the ball and try and tackle a little bit. And umpiring is horrible over there in the West, as we know already. But it was disappointing. But we chose the wrong horse in the end, or wrong eagle.
We did choose the wrong eagle. Yeah, the wrong flying object in that one, Pez. But we spoke the week before, Pez. We didn't speak the week before. We had meant to have our pod, but it was probably good because we would have talked up about how close the round was in terms of teams in the position, how great of a round of footy was, Pez. I want your thoughts on this. There was so much talk about how the round of footy was, first versus second, third versus fourth, fifth, seventh, or whatever. It was a little bit underwhelming, the games, Pez. It wasn't a great round of footy.
Well, you had the Geelong-Richmond game.
Great game of footy.
You had the
Instant classic.
Port Adelaide Gold Coast. It was a good game in terms of the close score. And then you had the Collingwood Giants game, which was
that
poor
that
first
wasn't
half.
a good game.
But that second half, when the Giants were coming and it was up and about, there was actually some momentum and things. And I didn't mind watching the Carlton and Fremantle game.
That was actually a really good game.
And to see Carlton work without their defenders and see them really, pull Fremantle apart away from home and get through that defence. So that was really good. Apart from that, all other blowouts really, and not really interesting games to watch there.
Not interesting games to watch at all, Pez. And speaking of not interesting games to watch, I actually went to the footy Friday night. I watched the Doggies take on Hawthorn and couldn't work out who I hated more. And when you're at the footy, how good is it when you get into an unintentional competition or verbal spat with someone?
Without knowing?
Without knowing.
Yeah.
There was a bloke in front of us who was a Western Bulldogs supporter, and he had a lot of gear on him and whatever. Sitting next to my mate, talking to him.
Bum bag and...
Oh, yeah, he had the bum bag on, had little pom-poms, and he had his girlfriend there, and he put on her beanie as well as his. And anyway, so the bloke next to me who was one of my mates, we were talking about... what's his name? Chia from Hawthorn. What's his name?
Jeff.
Yes, that's right. Talking about him and how my mate had him in his super coach, and obviously plays for Hawthorn, and he had a great kick down forward. And he's like, oh yeah, that's super coach points. And then every time he got the ball, he butchered it for the rest of the game. The bloke in front of us was like, oh yeah, yep, and continually like clapping towards us, and we're like, oh, didn't realise. We're like, we don't. Neither of us followed Hawthorn or Western Bulldogs. And then I got into a bit of a spat with him because their young gun forward, Yuga Hagen. I said to my mate, I said, I don't think he's taken a mark in his career. And then every time he took a mark from that game on, the bloke turned around and was like, oh, that's the best mark of his career. And I'm like, oh my God, man, I don't even care.
So good.
It's so funny when fans take stuff personal between private conversations. It was just hilarious. It actually made the game entertaining.
Oh, I love doing that. And I love staring
you
at the
would
pot.
too.
When
Yeah,
I
you
look
love
at
staring at
footy
the pot
as well. And
you were exactly like me. A couple of times I was just like, oh, yep, there we go.
you just say something just because you want a response sometimes. So that's really, really good. But on Twitter, at Behind the Bound, that's where people have had to get on our betslip source with our units. And we've had a couple of weeks now, so we're not going to obviously review both. It's there at Behind the Bound. But
and with the amount of units that we've won, Pez, we could probably put out a 8 or 9 year player contract to some AFL players and recruit them to the pod.
8 or 9 years.
8 or 9 years, I reckon.
That's better than some contract offers at the moment, isn't it?
Luke Jackson, geez, that's a decent contract. That one going around on Twitter.
Now is that real? Like 10 plus million?
That's monopoly money, Pez. Because that can't be real money.
If it is, what's he still doing? Leave right now.
I'll be leaving right now.
Go over there, fly over.
Put me on ice, coach.
Yep.
Put me on ice.
Because I don't want to do my knee or anything before I sign some big contract there.
I mean, he's 20 years old, Pez. He's a big boy. He's not worth that, is he?
Well, I don't know. Is he worth that to Fremantle?
How are clubs still going around with these 7-year contracts anyway, Pez? How are they still doing it? Show me one that's worked out. Probably the one that's most on track is probably Petrarca's. Outside of that, Lockie Whitfield, they've paid for him for 7 years. You've got Grundy, you've got Franklin.
Grundy's hasn't worked out.
Like, they're not working out, Pez. Yeah. They're not good deals.
Well, what about Lockie Neal staying until 2026? Inked a new deal.
Well, that's not 7 years, but that's 5 years.
Yeah, but he was going to leave to Fremantle as well. So that's another good one. Rowan Marshall's not poached from that trash club, the Bombers, and he's staying at St Kilda for 5 years.
Well, everyone should just do what Geelong do and just pay them like 3 years on the veteran minimum, and they can own 7 or 8 pubs down there. Like, it's just I don't understand why all these clubs don't do it.
No one else has all that vicinity down to work.
Fremantle, mate, they got half of Perth. Surely they could find a little pub out there.
Oh, you can
at the back.
You can have a share in the waffle team. Nobody wants that. It's not worth anything.
No, you'd be better having a breakfast waffle than actually a football team.
No, well, for new deals, but let's ink some of those new deals and have a look and do a little bit of a review.
Soft review. It's no official review. How does it end? We don't know. They've kind of lost, but they've won as well.
Oh, there was no losing this week, Pez.
Well, how good. And we always talk about how we want to always be accountable for everything. So round 14 source, I'm not going to go through it all, but I lost the 2.8 units there. And you lost the 5.4 units, so you had to win it back in 15.
I like the way that you're setting up this narrative, Pez. I like the way that you're keeping us accountable. You are correct. It was a rough round in round 14 for me specifically, and but
yeah, multiple reasons as well. But we don't want to hide away from it because it could be seen that we didn't do a pod because we had a losing week. But no,
we would have given up after our third episode. Then we were down a fair bit early.
The losing weeks there, done and dusted. But the season keeps on pumping. And in round 15 source, we had a few good little bets going on. So the Melbourne and Brisbane game, we both had the Clayton Oliver more disposals than Lockie Neal. That was
free money.
A very easy win, both the 2 units on that. Now, my bonus had Charlie Cameron to kick 2+ goals. He couldn't get anywhere near it, over 159, and Melbourne to win 1-39. They won by 10+ goals, so good for me.
Well, when I saw a couple of the late outs from the Brisbane lads and Bailey being out, I jumped all over, put an extra 50 on Melbourne at $1.57. Did let it slip down a little bit, but Pez, that's free money. Like, so you're 78.50, loving that. And also I had my 2 units on the Clayton Oliver to get more than Lockie Neal.
Yeah, and obviously we weren't able to speak about it for the listeners last week, but it was on Twitter at Behind the Bound. So if you don't have a Twitter account, create it, get on there. It's out there before the round starts. The next game was the Western Bulldogs versus Hawthorn source, and I just realised, like, when I was doing the bet, when the intern was doing the
media manager
afterwards, that what that bet was, because if I heard it last week on the pod, I would have jumped on it as well.
Yeah, I actually had a mate message me after he listened to, or obviously saw it on Twitter, and he said, "What betting agency is the Jack McRae to collect more disposals than Jaeger O'Meara?" I said, good old money ball, money line, whatever it's called. And Pez, wow, it was free money. It was put $10 on it max, $10 one, had the $3 odds.
McRae's 30 plus every week.
Every week.
Jaeger O'Meara sometimes struggles to get 20.
I was a little bit worried in the first quarter when they were up and about Hawthorn, and I think he was on 12 disposals to McRae's 9, and then I think he got 3 more disposals for the rest of the game. But it was easy money, Pez, and that meant straight away I'm already up 2-4 for 4.4 units.
Yep, very, very good. And what bets 365 have brought out is this same game multi. I wasn't able to speak about it last week, but the same game multi has been much approved at 365 because it was absolutely terrible before that, if anyone ever tried to put one on. But I put the line down from 19.5 down to 11.5 and over 148.5 combined total points at $1.83 together. So you're up around near the $1.90 mark. 2 units on that came back in. And my original one that I had with lads, I had the Bulldogs minus 16.5, had over 149.5, and my third leg under 204.5 source. So I'm absolutely laughing heading into that third quarter. The total match points ended up on 208, so 4 too many, and 85 point fourth quarter. So I got that one extremely wrong.
Very, very costly. Very costly, Pez.
But you take it. Those are the types of losses you have. I got a bonus bet for it, and we'll see how that went a little bit later. West Coast versus Essendon. We spoke about this. I was on Essendon at the line. I had Jake Stringer for 2 goals as well in my bonus bet from Tab. He kicked 2 in the first quarter. Essendon up by 20, but not able to be. West Coast get the win, and that bonus goes in the can.
Yeah, I was hoping for a bonus in that fourth quarter performance from Essendon. I had them head-to-head. The pick your own line at 161. The game was 190-something. Archie Perkins to get 15 or more.
No.
They played him up forward, and he sort of...
About 10 disposals.
Yeah, 10 disposals. He's hung around there. So one of the rare losses this week, Pez, for me.
Yeah.
1 unit.
Rare losses, but I see a tick, and another tick. Carlton versus Fremantle. Moneyball just giving away money this week.
Free money. Well, in this one, you had to do a little bit of work. You had to pick a 50-50 coin flip,
Flopping around.
and Andy Brayshaw or Paddy Cribs to get more disposals. Pez, this one was free money.
Yeah.
I mean, you still had to pick the right horse, but $2 odds, 50 on that one, 2 units, you're loving life.
Yeah, Brayshaw over Cripps.
Oh, easy.
And you go from there. I had multiple bets on this game because I fell in love with the same game multi at Bet365. I put Carlton plus 24.5. I thought they had a really good chance at the win, and under 172.5 points because Fremantle don't play high-scoring games. That was $1.83. Had a unit on that, brought that back in, and had a bonus from the week before, under 163, but over 129. So a smaller type margin, but got that quite easily as well, and brought that home.
Yes, you did, Pez. All right, speaking about bringing it home, it was a home game for Geelong, and they took home the chocolates in this one, Pez. I had a 3-leg same-game multi, and I had Geelong head-to-head, which was a very, very tough leg in the end. It was very, very nervous times. I had Tommy Stewart to get 20 or more.
Red card.
He had 29. I would be very upset for that. And my diamond in the rough, Pez, I've spoken about this every single week on the pod with the Geelong are playing. I had Tommy Atkins for 15 or more. He continually gets me a good price, and he had 21. So that was easy money for me. 2 units on that one. A nice little return there, Pez.
Yeah, my money wasn't so easy. I had my Tab bonus bet from the week before from a multi. I put Richmond plus 16.5. I thought Richmond had a really good chance to win the game, and under 182 when they're down by 6 goals early in that second quarter. So I wasn't liking it. Prestia down, concussed, off for the rest of the game. But Richmond came back. Richmond actually led by 17 points early in that fourth quarter, and amazing scenes happened, and the under got in by about a goal as well. So tick there for that bonus bet, and happy days. And then you head to probably the worst Saturday night game any AFL fan would ever watch, Sydney versus St Kilda.
I steered clear, Pez, in the bet slip, and I wish I'd steered cleared viewing-wise. The most boring 40-point loss. Every goal was just routine, out the back. But it was just crap. It was a hard to watch.
Yeah, very, very. I had a bonus bet from the lads earlier in the week. I put down St Kilda plus 48.5. Sydney minus 4.5. So I thought Sydney would get the win, but I thought it wouldn't be 1-39. It'd be a little bit higher than that. Didn't work out. Under 174 points. No good there for my bonus. Move on to North versus Adelaide. Routine stuff for Adelaide here, who dominated in that first quarter and just took an easy victory.
Yeah, won by 57, Pez, and that's about all you want to speak about it. There was nothing really to talk to. You know, Walker kicked 6, Fogarty kicked 4. That's about all she wrote.
Yeah, the next one you've got Collingwood versus GWS, and I was not happy with my bet beforehand because the over 166, it went down to 160 based on weather at the MCG, and that first half was very, very low scoring.
Very low scoring, Pez, and I wasn't very happy with my bet either. I thought the over 76.5 just for the GWS at $1.92, I thought that was pretty good considering they're both high scoring teams. The weather was not doing it for me, Pez, and only saved me was a late fourth quarter surge that sort of got them over the end at by 0.5.
Oh, they kicked 77, did they?
77, you little ripper.
Beautiful, you got to love that. We headed to the last game of the round, Port Adelaide versus Gold Coast. You had a cheeky. We were kind of head-to-head here.
We were.
I had Port Adelaide over 84.5, got that easily, over 144 points combined, and the match result to be Port Adelaide, $2.37. I had 2 units on it, so I needed that to come back in. The only leg you needed, by the looks of things, was Gold Coast to win.
It was, yeah. I had Isaac Ranking, our man, to kick 2 or more goals. He's
played
absolutely
well.
Electric. Played fantastic. Good little surge at the end that he sort of did, and they let the lead slip, Gold Coast, because they were neck and neck this whole game. A lapse in the fourth quarter that they sort of let it go, and they weren't able to claw its way back. So I escaped with a bonus bet for the cheeky Pez, so a loss of 0.4 units, but I'll make that back this week.
Oh, there you go. So it's better that I won my 2-unit bet and brought that back in,
Exactly
isn't it?
right.
So,
I was thinking of you, Pez.
So we go to the multi. I lost mine on the Friday night. I had 3 legs. I had Melbourne to win, Bulldogs to win, up, and then Essendon to win. No good. I used that bonus in the Geelong-Richmond game that week already and got that back. So
yeah, I lost mine in the Friday night, the Essendon as well. I had the Dogs, Essendon, Swans and Crows, and I will be putting that one down this week, Pez, and I'm very happy with that placement as well.
Excellent. So in round 15, I put 13 units out. So I staked 13 units. We know we're speaking in units now. I returned 17.72 units for a profit of 4.72 units. So I don't know if I'm happy with that or not, but you've got to be happy with any sort of profit.
You're not happy with the profit?
I would have liked a little bit more from some of the bets that I had.
Choosers, mate.
But yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm glad that we're not doing money anymore because we staked I staked 12.8 units, you staked 13, well over the 200 rule. But I returned 18.99 units, Pairs, a nice little profit of 6.19 units. My unit's $25, so I was sitting very nicely with some profit there.
You've got it there. Year to dates, I've put out 143 units over the 16 round source, returned 204.78 units for a profit or loss of 61.78 units. So whatever your units is, multiply it by 61, and there you go. There's your money.
Why are you multiplying by 61?
Whatever your units are.
Oh, okay. Yep. Sorry.
You could have $1 units. You could have $5 units.
$61. Look at you go. Well, big spender. I staked for the year 117.24 units and returned 137.6 units. A profit loss, Pez, of 20.36 units. And I guess, Pez, we always said the 10% rule of the ROI. What's a good unit thing to be looking for? I guess where do you want to be sitting?
Be in the positive.
Unit wise.
You want to be in the positive.
Yeah, but we always say that we aim for 10%. I guess for this one, what are we aiming for profit wise? It's 10 units?
No, I guess it's personal. Whatever you want. Aim as high as you want.
I need a benchmark, Pez. It's my second week doing it, and I'm still trying to get my head around it.
I'll get back to you next week with a benchmark. Depending on how many units you put out, you'd want to see. You can work out your little ROI there anyway.
You can, Pez. All right. Speaking of ROI, let's get into the bet slip for this week.
The fact that the size of the bets was relatively small.
Now Bex with an opportunity about 50 metres out.
I was with a mate, and we were getting sort of ready to leave, and he said, I think I'm going to whack 10 on Maxi. Do you want some as well? And I said,
Oh yes, yes, yes.
All right, Pez. Definitely noticed that you're not up and about. You haven't bought the excitement for this round. So hopefully you can get through the specials for this round and bring some a little bit more pep, Pez.
Cyril takes a special and goes bang.
There you go, just a little return pot shot for you.
Everyone 2 weeks ago, you've got... Is that better?
I hope that's not comparable to the way that we've done the show so far.
No, you've got Sportsbet, the same thing with the bet returns. They're really good early in the year, Sportsbet, but they let you down towards the second half of the year. Ladbrokes, still the same. They've got one refund per day this week, which is good, $2 lines, multis and things like that. Ned's kind of the same. They've got a 20-plus early payout at half time. Bet365, always the same, the 32-point early payout and the multi-offer. You've got Tab. So they've got the 3+ leg head-to-head special, which is still one of my favourite specials to be around, and I hope it's with us for the rest of the year. They've got 4+ legs in your same-game multi before you could get a bonus. Thursday Night Lights, $2 bonus bet for each goal your team kicks if you can get in a venue, Source. And
you can get in a venue.
Get the venue and go from there. We'll see how we go.
I'm going to try again this week to get in the venue. I haven't been able to, but I'm going away for the weekend and hope to spend most of the time in the pub, so fingers crossed.
Hopefully you can do that and activate that. Moneyball, they've got the same game multi offer, minimum odds of $3 though, so a little bit different to the other ones. Lions versus Bulldogs, one of the first four. Max bet at only $10. It's paying $4. Joe Danaher or Aaron Norton to kick one of the first 4 goals in the Lions-Bulldogs clash. Blues versus Saints Friday night. Head-to-head max bet of $10. Singles only. Patrick Cripps to collect more disposals than Jack Steele in his second game back. Paying $3. You can't actually go the other way around, which I like them offering both because you get to actually choose. But they've actually given you the person
similar
for
to
you.
the one last week where they had the O'Meara one. So you're glad that they couldn't back both of them.
You take that. Blue bet, they've got the multi-bonus offer, footy bet offer. They don't have the 12+ at half-time anymore.
No, I noticed that last week when I was waiting for my little notification to go off at half-time when Geelong was up by 12.
It didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
Ooh, and lucky they got the win in the end there. Goals galore, $3.50. 7+ goals between Curnow and Max King on Friday night. Or the Astronauts. You've got...
Which took us a little while to work out what astronauts are, Pez. we were looking at this like, why is it astronauts?
Aaron Norton and Lockie Neal. We knew it was Norton. We were just trying to work out the Astro. So we thought... I was saying Lockie Armstrong or whatever it was.
But then it was just I'm like, nah, it's not Lockie Armstrong. It's like Neil Armstrong. We're like,
Neil Armstrong.
I wasn't actually. You were more like that.
45+ disposals, 3+ goals, $3. So pretty horrible there as well. But there's our specials, and our bet slip is incoming for round 16.
It is incoming, Pez, and coming in nice and hot. We start things off with Thursday night footy, which we love, Pez. Up at the Gabba, this one, Brisbane taking on the Western Bulldogs. Odds have already shortened, Pez, since we started the pod. Originally were $1.40. They're in now to $1.34. The Lions, $3.18. The Doggies outsiders, -17.5. The line has also jumped. That was 15.5. And the over-under, 174.5, Pez. The Lions, they have to bounce back after that disappointing last week.
Oh, you took the words out of my mouth. It's a bounce back situation here at
to
home at the Gabba. Bulldogs disappointing in that first quarter last week against Hawthorn. Zach Bailey, Dane Zorko come back in, which is part of the reason. Part of the reason why it's come in about 10 cents. And they've got a debutant, the Bulldogs. So Dominic Bedendo comes in. Caleb Daniel is injured, so it's a big injury as well. Ed Richards got injured last week as well, so he is out. So big outs for the Bulldogs, big ins for the Lions. I like the Lions to win the game. I've put a 3-leg same-game multi with Ladbrokes. I've gone the Bulldogs, total game points to be under 80.5. I think the Brisbane Lions really dominate them in the midfield. They put the pressure on, and their defence will hold up well against the Bulldogs this week. And total game points will be under 205, because if the Bulldogs hit under... Brisbane should not score 130, 140 odd either and have a comfortable, 5-goal win and get that $2.19 up. I've put the 1 unit on that and hoping to get more than that back.
Yeah, I struggled to find value in this game, Pez. I was looking for a 3-leg same-game multi because, when you're multiing stuff up, you want that $1.40 mark. The Lions to win, I believe that's a guaranteed. So the $1.34 was sitting there nicely. Well, $1.40 when I first started looking for it. But trying to find more goal scorer markets or disposal markets, I really struggled. Like, Joe Danaher to kick 2 or more goals, $1.36. It's not worth taking the punt. So I just stuck with the Moneyball special and either Joe Danaher or Aaron Norton. So the Astronauts in that one. No. Can we do maybe Joe Danaher? I don't know. All right, to kick one of the first 4 goals, and I've put 0.4 unit, Pez, the $10.01 on that one, and hopefully I can get that back. If the ball goes forward to the Dogs, he's the only person who's going to be kicking goals for them. Brisbane is where I struggle because they've got multiple ways to kill you.
Now, Sauce, we're pretty good on harping on things all the time, and we're going to harp on it again because Sportsbet has been one of the leaders a few years ago in terms of they made everyone else do it, pretty much. The possessions, 20+, 25+. They had 15+ disposals when the game was shortened as well, which was amazing. Some companies still do, but the odds are absolutely horrendous. Anytime goal scorer, 2+ goals, 3+ goals, absolutely ridiculous. For example, Toby Green this week, $1.50 to kick 3+ goals. It's pretty hard to kick 3+ goals.
$1.13 to kick 2 or more, Pez. $1.13. That should be guaranteed.
How stupid is that? $1.13 someone to win. their line's going to be about minus 46.5 or something. So,
I'll give you the example. Melbourne is $1.15 to beat Adelaide, and then they're saying it's that sort of odds
What's the
for
line?
him to kick 2 or
39.5, something like that.
Oh, the line for that game, Pez, is 32.5.
30, yeah. So
is
Melbourne
that-
are going to win easily. They say the bookies.
So it's a 30-point favourite that's like in those sort of comparable terms.
That
Toby Green's going to kick 2 or more.
So
Ridiculous.
you can't do it, and kudos to the people that still do it on Twitter and put their little same game multis out with the multiple legs, 5+, 6+ legs, and if they can win doing it, congrats to you. But I rarely put disposal or goal kickers in my bets anymore.
Well, I've done a couple this week, Pez, because you've got to find the value, and you know where the value is some of these like the not tested horses, I guess what you mean is they haven't done multiple runs. You're looking for those younger players a bit trying to break through, and you can find them
Second or third
forward. Like
stand up.
That's where you
Daniel McStade kicking 2, something like that.
But again, you can't really put a lot of research behind it because they're still young, they're untested, you're not sure. But anyway, let's get on to that game that we spoke about, Pez, the last one. We've already sort of gone through the odds. Adelaide versus Melbourne, 550 Outsiders, the Crows. I've skipped a game there, Pez.
That's all right. We can skip it.
We skipped a few games there, Pez. I slid down. I obviously looked down there to try and find the odds.
I'm happy to skip
Let's
this
get
game.
back, Pez, because this game is going to be an absolute beauty. The Friday of Pez, 1st of July. We're heading into the bulk of the season, the last, 8 rounds? 8 rounds, here we go. Carlton taking on St Kilda. This is going to be an absolute... it's going to be something, Pez. $1.54 favourites are the Blues. $2.43 outsiders are the Saints. -9.5. Carlton favourites over 162.5. Pez. Battle at the Dome. This is tough.
It was looking as a really promising game the other week when they were both contending for top 4. Saints out of the 8 with a couple of really horrible performances. I don't know what they're doing with the coaching staff down there and the game plan and their ball inside 50. I guess when you've got your forward Max King there just sitting there hoping for the ball up on his head, and it's pretty easy to defend if the opposition are onto it, which they should be by now. They need to do some more blocks. They need to get on the lead. They need to do what Geelong do. Get Cameron and Hawkins on the lead. They get the Brad Close and players like that. They get easy marks inside 450. St Kilda don't do that, and they're going to struggle to do that against Carlton. I've stayed away from a result because I'm hoping for a miraculous comeback to form somehow. I hope Paddy Ryder and Bradley Hill come back into the side. We won't know until tomorrow night. But I've gone with Neds because I can get on the Friday, I can get one bonus back. Over 134 points, alternate points, which doesn't matter that leg at all. Over 164.5 points, which is the actual total game points that I got on, and under 194.5. So a 30-point window source gets me odds of $2.90. I've put a unit on it, and I can hope that it falls in between there and that the score can represent something better than the last 2 weeks for St Kilda.
Yeah, that's a decent little bet there, Pez. It's good for you to stay away from the actual the result there and just play with all the other alternate things. But I've gone 2 bets in this game, Pez. I've gone the 0.4 unit with the money ball, Paddy Cribbs to collect more disposals than Jack Steele. As we said in the last one, the one previously, you had the choice to back either horse. I don't mind where they've taken it away here. I reckon Paddy Cribbs can get this done. There'll be a lot of movement through that midfield, and he's in ripping form this year. And as you said, the Carlton are actually creating a lot of different things for him, and they've got a lot of players getting over that 20 mark because they continually just use that ball. So I think that gets done. I've put 0.4 units on that because that's all it will let me. And I've also put another bet down in that game, Pez. I've done a 3-leg same game multi. I've got Carlton for the win, as I said, the $1.50 mark. That's a really good little topper for your multi. I've gone George Hewitt to get 25 or more disposals. He is absolutely killing it this year. It's only fallen under there like 3 or 4 times, and he's sitting about the $1.30 mark, which is pretty decent. $1.30, $1.40 mark.
Yeah, I don't like it.
But see what I mean, Pez? It's like I'm talking about that's like it's something decent, and it's actually not when you look at comparative years. But in terms of boosting up the multi, that's where I like to be, as well as I've put a pick your own alternate points in there, 153.5. I think this game is high scoring. I think both those teams play well at Etihad, and they like the ground there. It will be high scoring. That gives me odds of $3, Pez, and I've put 2 units on that one.
I like your last leg source. I like your last leg because I've got over 164. But now we can go into those Saturday games and maybe start with Essendon Sydney.
I might start with Essendon Sydney. I'll just the 1:45 time slot would naturally make sense, Pez. But I'm a little bit crazy with those things. normally when I'm unorganised. But anyway, we take the Bombers taking on the Swans. Pairs $3.19. Outsiders are the Bombers. $1.36 favourites are the Swans. The line is -17.5, of course, in favour of the Swans, and the over under 167.5. Pez, the Bombers were disappointing last week. They take on the Swans. Can they bounce back at the MCG?
Look, it hurts me to say this, but they can. And the reason that they can is not because of their skill set or anything like that. It's because of the Sydney Swans. And can you really trust the Sydney Swans to win the games that they're meant to win? Year after year, Source, they lose games and drop games that they don't need, and then finish in the bottom half of the 8, finish outside the 8. So Sydney, sitting on 9 wins, a healthy percentage at 119.5, they really need to win to get their 10th win and to stay in touch with that top 4, because Sydney dropped a game to Gold Coast, who have been playing well, but there's games that they shouldn't lose. This is one of them at the MCG against a very piss-poor Essendon Footy Club this season. Sydney just need to get the job done. I don't have a bet in it because you never know what's going to happen with Essendon at the MCG. Especially with the Sydney Swans team that don't seem to have the heart to bury sides when they need to.
Yeah, I've stayed away from this one, Pez. I didn't mind the line at the start, but I thought this game was actually going to be played at Marvel, and that's when I like the Swans at Marvel because I think it suits their sort of gameplay. I think that it's a quick pace sort of ground. At the MCG, it brings questions for both teams. I don't think both of these teams play enough games here. Essendon only play against those bigger sides, and when they're playing those bigger games, it's not normally the ground that's the advantage. It's that high, that big crowd, the Anzac Day, those sort of games. Sydney at the MCG historically are terrible. I think their record is, played 233 games there. They've won 97. Over their history at the MCG, which is not great. So I'm steering clear with this one. I guess if I was taking a lean, I don't mind the line at any other venue, but the MCG really, really throws me off.
Well, I'm looking at the 17.5 line there, but Sydney's total points, 91.5. So I'd probably lean the under of Sydney total points because they can still get the win. 80 points or so and still get a comfortable win and be under that 91 depending on...
Sydney really need this win, Pez. They really need this win to sort of, join that pack. At the moment, they sit as the 6th best side, and that's where they're sitting, and they really need to join in there. They should be where Fremantle and Carlton are, and at the moment, they are a grade below them. They really need this win, and they need to flog Essendon.
They've lacked in quarters, Source. And they've lacked in games that they're just meant to win. So this is a game they're meant to win. They need to make a statement.
I mean, they're still very young, but they should be taking advantage of this, and we shouldn't be having that sort of that acceptance pass that we gave Brisbane a couple of years ago when they're like, oh, they're young, they'll be here next year. We've seen how much growth there has been in a short term for the rest of the year, for the rest of the teams.
They've got enough experience.
Exactly right.
They're ready to go.
There's no waiting for it.
And they need to make a statement.
All right, we've already talked about this game, Pez. Adelaide taking on Melbourne at Adelaide Oval. The Crows, $5.50 outsiders, $1.15 favourites are the Ds. 32.5 is the line, and the over-under 161.5, Pez. The Ds do this easy, surely.
You would think so, but was it last year they went over to Adelaide and Adelaide had the upset?
Oh, they did actually, yes.
over Melbourne. And
that was early on too. That was like round 2 or 3.
You would not expect it at that point. So Adelaide have done it before. I'm steering clear of this. I think the odds are too low. The 40+ market for Melbourne, way too low. They're sitting on the highest percentage in the league, 139. But you don't really remember Melbourne kicking the shit out of anyone.
They kicked the shit out of them in one quarter, and that's normally like a 40-point quarter.
So they beat Brisbane by 63. They've given up 30-point leads in multiple times this year, and Adelaide bring the effort at home. Anything can happen. I'm not going near this one.
Yeah, I'm steering clear as well, Pez. The line is a little bit too high for me. I think Adelaide at home, they seem to play quite well at home. Tex Walker, he's been in incredible form. Darcy Fogarty has been all right up there as well. Melbourne, I mean, they've had one good week in the last 5. I'm not backing a horse who's won one race in the last
away from home.
5 away from home at $1.15. So steering clear for me, Pez, as we get on to the next game. Next game is my Cats taking on North Melbourne. This will be a snooze fest, and I'll be tuning into the Gold Coast Collingwood game, which is on at the same time, Pez. But I'll go through it for all those North supporters that somehow have must be their first time listening because you haven't potted them once. So $1 favourites are the Cats. $19 outsiders are North Melbourne. Minus 65.5 is the line, and the over under 160.5, Pez, which is really interesting considering the line is 65.5.
So you're going to have a 65-point win, dare say, but you're going to be under 160. So that means that North Melbourne aren't going to score very many points, according to the bookies there. And
yeah, but Geelong can pile it on. To have a 60-point, they're normally going to be in control the whole game.
North are going so poorly, Sauce, that their team total points is sitting at 47.5. So what I've done to have some interest in this game, I'll put out a unit. I'll put a Ladbrokes with the one leg fail, get his money back. Under 47.5 total game points for North Melbourne. So they're going to kick less than, 8 goals. I've put Geelong Cats to win the race to 3 goals. And I've put under 190.5 because if North score 47 or less, I can't see Geelong scoring, 150, 160, 170 by themselves. It can happen, but that's what I'm banking on this week. $2.12, put a unit on it just so I can have a little bit of interest on the secondary screen there.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you're doing it for, isn't it? Just a little bit of interest in the secondary screen to have it up there. You have to watch it anyway.
I like barracking against North in any way that I can, and under 47.5 seems like a good way to do that.
Yeah, Pez, I've really struggled betting on Geelong this year because every time I pick the wrong forward to kick 3 or more goals, and Pez, I think I've got it right this year.
You kick both. You pick both, surely.
I've got the right forward this time. I've gone with, obviously I've been tossing up between Cameron or Hawkins.
Brian with a G.
Nah, I've gone with Stengel. Stengel to kick 3 or more goals. He's in All-Australian form, Pez. What a return to football he's had. And we're not talking about this enough, the comeback kid. What an incredible season he's had. Perfect missing piece for Geelong's forward line.
He never couldn't play footy.
Oh, no, but to get him on the park and get him consistently playing. And you know what? Down in Sleepy Hollow, getting him out of trouble as well. Perfect spot for him.
He spends all his weekends doing whatever he wants down at all these different pubs in the back room, the secret room. No one can see, no phones out.
He's in Paddy Dangerfield's club. When he gets kicked out of there, he goes over to Jeremy Cameron's club, gets kicked out of there, over to Tomahawk's
you can
bar.
have a private room where phones are taken from the security
He's probably got his own pub actually up there. Actually.
He probably does, but
I've gone that one. 3 or more goals. I've multied it up there. So I've gone with a 3-leg same game multi. I've gone Geelong Cats. Sorry.
Oh, you haven't finished.
I haven't finished, mate.
I'm still talking about Stengel. I haven't seen anyone more comfortable snapping the ball around his body from 45 plus metres out.
Can we backtrack actually to the Richmond game? He hit in the last quarter, the one that Jack Henry marks. He hits that footy 45 out at full pace and he somehow had the balance to be able to snap around his body and then that ball go another 30 kilometres then, decent roost, but another 30 metres. That's incredible.
When forwards kick from 45 out in a set shot, and they don't do the snap because they can't make the distance. But Stengel got it easily on the run.
He's hit that on the run, full pace, avoided someone, somehow has enough poise and balance to be able to smack it around his body and go 30 metres and set up the game winning.
Very crafty.
Great pickup, great induction.
Spend a lot of time with Eddie Betts, I reckon.
Oh, definitely. Anyway, back to my bets, Pez, not the Eddie Betts of this one, but you could call it the Eddie Betts of the podcast because this is going to be absolutely special to watch. Tyson Stengel to kick 3 or more, as I mentioned. Geelong to win the first quarter. Good odds, Pez, $1.20. That's actually not bad odds considering a $1 favourite to break open the game.
Take it.
And I've taken a 50-50 punt, Pez. I've picked the first half to be the highest scoring half. I don't know why. It was $1.90.
Nothing behind it.
Nothing behind it. I needed something to bump it up. That's I think the other 2 legs are guaranteed. That gives me odds of $4.33, Pez, and I've chucked 1 unit on that one.
All right. Yeah, you take that and watch that on your secondary screen.
Yeah, I won't be watching that one, Pez, because I'm actually happy I'm going away for the weekend. I'm going to the Gold Coast. I might actually go to the footy actually this weekend. Well, probably not. The missus won't like that at all. But anyway, speaking of the Gold Coast Suns, definitely my mistress, Pez. I don't mind the Gold Coast Suns. They're good to watch. They're starting to build something up there, and this will be a real big test to show where both of these teams are, Pez. Gold Coast taking on Collingwood. Gold Coast come in favourite, surprisingly at $1.78, considering how Collingwood are 1 win off being in second spot points wise. $2.08 favourites outsiders are the Pies. -3.5 is the line. Over under 143.5. Pez, the Gold Coast Suns, are they the real deal?
No, but at home, Source.
At home.
Metricon Stadium.
Yes,
they have impressed, and they didn't lose any friends last week in their performance against Port Adelaide.
Didn't lose any
over there.
friends. Well, that was good.
They didn't lose any friends from
They
the
don't have many.
punting because they've gone in as favourites
Yeah, I
against
know.
Collingwood, which is huge because
Huge.
you'd expect that line to come in because all the Collingwood nuffies go out there and, pile it on their team as well. So if you are going to go on the Gold Coast Suns, just hold off a little bit for team news and things like that. But I think this could be a crack. You don't know which Collingwood side's going to come out. I do like in Gold Coast favour that Mason Cox is getting a regular spot in the team. Marbia Chol's actually been impressive with his
One of the recruits of the season. He unbelievable.
with his ability not only in the air and set shot goal kicking this year, but his ability when the ball hits the floor to actually get down there, pick it up and make the right decision. So he's been playing really well
He
as well.
gets a lot of the out-the-back goals similar to Jeremy Cameron, but he's a lot more crafty with it. Like he's a lot more mobile than Jeremy Cameron, the old sloth.
He's getting in a lot of good positions. But I've gone just alternate handicaps. Collingwood plus 27.5.
Yeah.
Gold Coast plus 24.5.
Loving it.
I think it'll be close. And then over 126.5 points, which I think can happen at Metricon there. And $2.14, put a unit on it.
I like that one.
So here we go.
I like that one because I think it's also going to be close. I think that Gold Coast. I think they like to win those games up there. They get up and about.
They like it.
They do. You like to create a fortress. They've been talking about this for years, Pez. We keep saying that the Gold Coast Fortress, and they're starting to get some very winnable games up there. I've gone a 3-league same game multi, Pez, with one of my bonus bets, and it's a little bit
Cheeky.
a little bit cheeky. You knew it was coming. I've gone Gold Coast 1-39. I think, as you said, it's a close game. I think that they keep it close and they get the chocolates to this one. That's really good odds at $2.32. Isaac Rankine to score 2 or more goals. He's sitting $2.10, Pez. I think that's great money.
Okay.
That's really good money. And then I've gone Marbel Chol. I don't know how this worked, but I've gone him 3 or more goals, and somehow my odds went from $3 something up to like $10.50. So that is absolutely loving it. I've put my 0.4 unit bonus bet on that one, Pez.
Well, there's
at
5
odds of
goals for the-
$10.50.
5 goals for the Gold Coast there that you've put on, so it's helped out with your odds there. But very cheeky with that bonus, and we'll enjoy that match, which is probably one of the matches I look forward to on the weekend.
It will be. Gold Coast have been good to watch, Pez. They're good, and they're starting to ink some of those names as well. They reckon Rankine's close to it. They got your mate King. He signed up obviously long term. Ainsworth was there. They've got Took Miller.
Lukosius
signed up as well. They're building a nice little force up there.
Very good when considering
years
everyone
away.
left a few years back.
Imagine the side they'd be if they kept everyone and they were able.
You can do that, but they're never going to keep everyone.
never.
But they didn't keep anyone, which was the problem for so many years.
Exactly right. All right. Speaking of keeping the list together, Pez, we get onto the Sunday games. The West Coast Eagles.
Loves the Suns.
You thought they were the Suns with some of the lineups they've put this year, just a bunch of no-name players. They take on Richmond. Last time these teams played, Richmond absolutely polarised them in Perth, 100-plus points. They come in as favourites at $1.12. The bookies think something similar in this one, Pez. $6.40 outsiders, the West Coast Eagles, minus 38.5 and over 172.5. Pez, I haven't got much to report in this one. This should be pretty routine for Richmond.
Yeah, but West Coast are a much stronger side than they did put out over there against Richmond. But 38.5, is that still the line? Is that what you said?
38.5, yeah.
So it's a kind of a tricky line. You'd back Richmond in any time, but I haven't included it in my little same game multi here, Source. I think Richmond will win very easily. West Coast could put up a fight. They've got a couple of forwards and a couple of those midfielders who run through there and are actually starting to care. Or I don't know if it was just last Friday night against a really poor Essendon side. So we'll see this week. But I've got Richmond to win the match. I've got Richmond to win the most quarters. So you can't just win 2 quarters. You have to win 3 out of 4 to win the most.
Okay.
So it gets you better odds there.
That's not leading at the quarters? That is like the total points, but each
Every quarter
is broken
starts at
down
0.
to its own. Yep. Okay.
And you've got to win the most quarters. So, and then team total points for Richmond over 105.5. So they've got to score 106 or more. They've got to win the match and they've got to win the most quarters. That's $2.10 odds. I've put 2 units on that one because I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, you should be happy with that one, Pez. I haven't really found anything in this game. The line for me, I would have, if it was a little bit higher, this sounds so silly, if it was a little bit higher, I would have been leaning towards West Coast. If it was sitting about that 46.5 mark, I'd probably have been looking towards that. But, you look at the 1-39, the Tigers, 2.45, and the 40 plus $1.94. The bookies don't know where this is going to go either. I'm steering clear. Just steering clear for it, Pez.
Yeah, you do that. We've got a couple of games on the Sunday to go.
We do. This one will be an interesting one. I think the bookies have misread this one completely, Pez. GWS taking on Hawthorn, $1.47. Favourites are the GWS Giants. They definitely have that part right, Pez. I think they should be a lot shorter than that. Hawthorn have been, they've lost 7 of their last 8, Pez. They've been pretty disappointing the last couple of months. Hawthorn coming outsiders at $2.71. Minus 11.5 is the line. That's creeped in already. And the over-under 144.5, Pez. The Hawks, I don't know why people are still putting this team as a thereabouts team. They've been flogged the last month.
Last 2 months by 7 out of 8. But
Yep.
I think I can answer that question for you, and why people still rate Hawthorn is I think they put up patches of footy in nearly every game. So last week in the first quarter, they led by 5 goals against the Western Bulldogs. They've moved the ball beautifully through the middle. They put on good pressure, and they've taken marks inside forward 50 to kick good set shots. You look at the list and people see the young players and they go, yep, all right, this Hawthorn team is up and coming. They've had a couple of good wins this year, and I think that's why we are getting some decent odds for the GWS Giants this week. Now, I'm steering clear in this. It will be in a later bet, my GWS one at the moment, but for the actual game, I'm going to wait for the weather. It is Wednesday at the moment. This is a Sunday game. It says 16 with a chance of rain in New South Wales near the Giants Stadium. Looking at the weather radar, I'm not a weather person. I need some help with that. But I am going to wait until maybe Friday or Saturday. And when I see a clearer picture, hopefully the line doesn't move too much, not in my favour, and I'll be hammering the GWS minus in this.
Yeah, I love the GWS line in this one, even despite the weather. I'm not waiting for Jane Bunn, Pairs. I'm pulling the trigger early. Got my bonus bet from Tab last week, the $50, the 2 units, Pairs. GWS minus 11.5. I think that they'll pile it on. They love that home ground. And you're right, they do play patches here and there, Pairs, but their fall away and the brand of footy that they change to is really, really disappointing. They absolutely changed their style of gameplay. They did that against the Doggies. Too many adjustments when teams start to come back, as you'll see from a rookie coach, and obviously he's a very, very smart man, their coach, but Mitchell, he just still needs the credit under his belt to be able to get those things moving. I've gone that paired in with a 2-leg same game multi pairs. Jesse Hogan to kick 2 or more goals. He's done it over the last month 2 or 3 times. I think he gets that done, so that gives me odds of $2.60 pairs, and I've put my 2 unit bonus bet on that one.
Yep, so win that back in a little bit more, and heading to the final game, we've got Twilight Fremantle versus Port Adelaide.
Yeah, I don't mind Fremantle in this last time slot of the round, because it's a nice little, $5.50 back here, back home in Melbourne. You're chilling on the couch, you're sort of getting ready for the work weekend. I mean, not us this week, but you are getting ready for back into work. You watch the Dockers play, and they play an exciting brand of footy. They come in favourites $1.42 at SBS Stadium. Port Adelaide Power $2.90 outsiders, minus 15.5 over under total game points 153.5 pairs. Port Adelaide need this win to keep their season alive, or is their season just dead already?
Oh, well, they cost themselves early in the year, didn't they? They came back against Carlton at the G, could have won that game. And a few other ones that they probably are kicking themselves with their poor 0-5 or 0-6 start to the year. I'm steering clear. It's too early for me in this one on a late Sunday afternoon. I need to see the teams. I think Fremantle will have a focus on their team defence this week because they did get exposed a little bit last week. And the midfield battle should be a decent one as well. So Leah back in that side as well for multiple weeks now.
They're a different side with
solid
him
down in defence, and some of the players that they've actually brought back in, they actually do look like a much better side. And when they get the clearance and run, they go there. But the Gold Coast showed last week that they can get opened up the other way. So if Fremantle are able to cut through the midfield and do that and move the ball forward at a good pace over there, which they like to do, Fremantle should win the game.
Yeah, quite a nice little analysis there you've gone, Pez.
With no bet.
With no bet. I didn't mind that at all. I might just sit here in awe, Pez, on that bet. Oh, Jesus. Totally agree with what you said. The Port Adelaide have put in a couple of blokes into that midfield. Rosie going into that midfield has really put a nice little...
Pretty much won them the game last week.
Very much so. And it's good that they're starting to utilise those players. The problem was they had so much talent, they didn't know where to play everyone. Pau Pepper's in career best form. And speaking of erections, Bonner, he's been playing well as well, mate. The old Bonner.
Now, to add to my point, Sam Palpepper, you said he's playing well.
He's playing well.
He was on the verge of getting traded or delisted from Port Adelaide, and I never knew why, because I always thought, he's a hard nut. He's really good up forward.
I couldn't find where to play him.
But watching him on the weekend, and I'm going to watch him more closely, and I'm not going to make an outlandish statement here. He is...
I think you are.
at the moment, I think he may not be a very clean footballer, and not in terms of dirty plays, in terms of fumbly and picking up the ball. I know the impact that he's trying to have and the hardness, but I think I can see the reason why they were going to get rid of him.
I mean, he has been a lot cleaner over the last, this year specifically, Pez. But remember when we used to have him there when remember the days when he could put 15 or more touches
plus?
and they were like $1.60? We used to watch him closely, and the amount of times that he'd get close to it and whatever, and he'd sort of, you're right, he does come through the pack quite sporadically, and sometimes he sits in the right spot to receive it, but then what he does with it, he's fumbly, he doesn't handball
They've moved him up forward as that pressure player.
And I think that's where it suits him a lot better.
And he gets the ball out of bounds, but there's so many opportunities on the weekend, on Sunday solely, where he could have picked it up and just gone cleanly to a teammate and got an easy goal for his team. But needs to be a bit cleaner, Mr. Power Pepper.
Mr. Power Pepper. Oh, the old Beatles reference there, Pez. All right, I think it was Sergeant Pepper there.
Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts button.
There it is.
Okay,
All right, speaking of Lonely Hearts, I'm not putting a bet down this one, Pez. And I have noticed that you haven't got your cheeky anywhere sitting there, Pez.
Shizen.
Oh, we better get on to the multi then, Pets. I'll go first in this one. I've got a 4-leg same-game multi with Tab, 2 units on this one, $3.19 odds. Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne and the Giants. Love all of those. And by your reaction, you like them too?
Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne and the Giants. All right, there you go.
You're not putting anything down?
Yep, my multi. I've got a 3-leg multi with Tab. Don't press that cheeky button because it's not cheeky. I've got Brisbane, Richmond and GWS all together, $2.34 odds. Put the 2 units out there on it, and I can't end it on that source because I've gone the second multi for my cheeky, and I've gone Bet365 and got the blue button there. But bear with me for this one now. I told you about the Giants bet, so I've put them in the multi, but not in that bet yet. But I've put GWS minus 11.5 source. You love that line.
Love that line. That was a great line.
Over.
I'm glad you're waiting for the weather report on it though.
I said that
it's cleared up. It's cleared up, has it?
Later.
It's cleared up since the start of the show.
Over 148.
Not even about 10 minutes ago.
Over 148.5 points in that same game. Okay.
Yeah. It's raining money now.
Geelong game. Geelong over 112.5 team points by themselves.
Yep.
All right.
Now I understand where you had the analysis from.
Yep. Brisbane to beat the Bulldogs at the $1.44. I got it there earlier today.
Yep.
Over 133.5 in the Gold Coast Collingwood game, and Richmond to win by 23 or more.
Yep. Just a short recap.
That's my 6-leg multi.
6-leg multi. What are the odds there, Bez?
$25 there, or 21 unit there. It doesn't actually say the odds on my little bet slip here.
Cheeky!
Just take your word for it.
But it is 4, 8, 12, 16 to win 20 units back. So it's big. It's $20.
Jesus, Bez, you've come back into the side this week a little bit shit. I'll be honest. just
You're not happy with that?
I just don't like you don't have the odds there. That's
No, but I just worked it out. It's $20. Just a bit over.
Just take your word for it, don't we?
No, don't. I just added it up.
Oh, good on you. Quick maths. I hope it's like your weather report and accurate.
Very easy.
I'll be watching very closely in that game to see what the weather is. Such a flog.
So I haven't put it in the game on the
I know,
Sunday.
but you're like, I'll be watching very closely, and if the weather is clear, actually, I think you said if it's a clear picture, I'll smash the line.
I'm going to smash the line and put more units down there. But this is in my cheeky.
I hope it pisses down rain and that line skyrockets.
Okay, you do because you've got the line.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. No, I'm quite happy with that. So be raining down units this week on Twitter at Behind the Bounds. So there you go. As you know, my little tip.
Where can they find all these make believe odds and these bet slips, Pez? Where can our fans find them?
Well, that one's on Bet365.
I mean,
it's
on
in my
Twitter,
Bet365 account. But Twitter at Behind the Bound, you've got it there. The bet slip will be out tomorrow before the first game, and you can see everything down there. And it is screenshotted. It just doesn't have the odds on it there.
What's the point of the screenshot?
Bet365 don't really do it.
Everyone's going to listen to the pod and hear that anyway. And what they're looking for is that visual picture of the odds.
No, they don't need it because they've already listened and they've gone $20 for that.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, they don't need it because they've heard you talking and they've tuned out and they're just like, nah, this is rubbish again.
It's at the end of the show, but
the second multis, Pez, your success rate's not good. I've done the stats.
No, you haven't done the stats.
Check the weather report. Every time I'm rating money ever.
Every time I've done 2 multis.
Every time you've won both.
Yeah, it's been very, very good. So
very controversial.
This one we will see, but as we recap the whole season, plus 61 units for the year myself.
Yeah.
Plus 20 for you.
Man, that's
Very,
plus
very
80 combined. That's you find a Twitter page out there that doesn't pump out 4,000 bets a day, and show us that where they've returned 80 units, except for the Guru. Leave him out of this. He's an absolute master.
Oh, the Guru. We love the Guru, and it's one of the reasons I love the MLB.
You're all over the baseball at the moment.
Well done, the Guru. I'm not actually going to tell anyone about the Guru because we don't want him to. He's getting a lot of followers at the moment on Twitter, and I don't want him to.
What we should do is
influence
start promoting our other mate who's all over Wimbledon at the moment.
Oh,
literally all over Wimbledon. I think there's 70 units over some of the.
I love to see
every single person.
I'm going to back him in a few of those, but not all of them because I don't have the bankroll for it. But a few of them, I'll back him in tonight. And,
yeah, you should
have a look at that.
Who you like in the we've got the cricket going here. The Aussies 76 for 2 or 2 for 76. Oh. Almost just got a stumping then. Almost went 3 for. And we've got Wimbledon tonight. Pez, what do you like this tonight?
Yeah, I haven't had a look at it. I'll just look at one of the Twitter pages and follow a couple of bets and have a
gambling Twitter.
Have a look. It's beautiful.
Gotta love
it's
it,
absolutely
Pez.
beautiful. All right. Great to be back in the hot seat, and it was a hot seat tonight. You're a little bit angry.
Well,
tonight,
you didn't bring the energy early on, Pez. I was a little bit worried about your COVID, your fatigue after. What's it called? The slow COVID or just the slow Pez?
They used to say it takes 14 days for COVID to get out of your system. Now it's only 7.
We haven't got that time, Pez. We've got money.
Only
to
8
win.
days. You might still have it, and you're sitting here across from me. It's not good for you and your little holiday, is it?
Yeah, especially with all that dribble you're throwing around. So,
all right. Well, you can close us off this week if you want. See you later.
No, well, I'm still sauce. We'll catch up next time. And as always, if you're having a bet responsibly.
Now you're gone.